Hey, what is up, you Mongoloids? It's your friendly neighborhood Bleach Addict here, bringing you a review on Dark Souls 3. Now, if you're new to the Dark Souls series, Dark Souls 3 is the next installment in the Dark Souls series, which is known for being really, really ridiculously fucking hard. Now, it's said that Dark Souls 3 is supposed to be harder than Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1, and as well as the spin-off game Bloodborne. Now, personally, it could be seen as easier and it could be seen as harder. And in some cases, it could be seen as the exact same kind of thing compared to Dark Souls 2 or 1. Personally, I'm with the third option. I think it's just as hard as the other ones. Not like there's factors that make it a little bit harder, but there's factors that make it easier. So it just kind of evens out to be kind of the same difficulty, in my opinion. But that's just an overview of the entire series as a whole, as well as its difficulty compared to Dark Souls 3. And so now I'm going to just jump into the rest of the stuff like story, multiplayer, and gameplay in case you're new to all of this. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the story of Dark Souls 3 because, I want to and it's my video so I can. Now there's no need to worry, I'm not going to be spoiling anything in the story here. I'm just going to be talking about the story as a whole and like how rich it is and if it's good or not, if it's bad, all that fun jazz. Now I'm going to have to go and be honest here, guys. If you're looking for a story-rich game where the story is easy and fun to follow, then Dark Souls is not the game for you. But that does not mean that there is no story. In fact, the story is pretty good if you're able to follow it and pay attention and listen to it correctly. Now, the reason I say Dark Souls has such a hard-to-follow story is because there's only one piece of story that they really throw in your face, and that's that beginning cutscene. And basically everything about the story is right there in that one cutscene with the Lords of Cinder and the Unkindled, and the rest is either you small bits and pieces that you learn from the NPCs, or just lore, and that's about it. However, even if the story is a little hard to follow, and by a little I mean it's pretty fucking hard to follow, especially because some of the NPCs use like Shakespeare kind of language, and I just don't understand it. Given I may sound really stupid for saying that, but I'm sorry, I just don't know what they're saying. Like, it's physically impossible for me. Like, the dialogue is just kind of hard to understand. You know what? I'm going way off topic here. What I'm saying is, if you piece together everything, all the lore they give you, all the shit from the NPCs, it can turn out to be a really nice story, but it's not fun or easy to follow. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, Dark Souls story, not for you at all. Not even close. Now, for what Dark Souls loses in story, it makes up in gameplay, of course. Because the gameplay of Dark Souls, in my opinion, is really cool and unique to a certain extent, and I'm going to just tell you guys about it. Now, of course, this game is an RPG. Thus, being an RPG, there's a lot of roads you can follow that will affect your game as well as your character. Now, these different roads you follow could give you different advantages and disadvantages. But throughout the entire game, you generally play the same way. It's you have to be really offensive, but you also have to stay defensive at the same time. However, the fighting can be a little could be a little slow sometimes because it's constantly like dodge, attack, block, dodge, attack. And it basically follows that same formula most of the time, adding in magic and other aspects as well. But when it comes to the boss fights of Dark Souls, that's where things get fast-paced. Like here, I can show you a clip. It's me fighting one of the bosses, and as you can see, it's basically dodging, attacking, but his attacks are stronger and faster and in general better than all of the enemies in that area combined. So you have to play different with the bosses and with the enemies in an area. Even though fighting it does get tedious sometimes because it's the constant formula of dodge, attack, and roll, it keeps you on your toes consistently because you're constantly fighting new enemies that have new attacks and new abilities, new weaknesses, and new strengths. And so you're consistently having to find out those strengths and weaknesses and apply your attacks to them and judge your fighting style on this person's attack. Basically what I'm trying to say is that the same formula of dodging, attacking, and rolling won't work in every scenario, constantly keeping you on your toes at every situation. One thing I do recommend is that when you do play this game, you need to have a lot of patience because you're not going to be good at it at first, but once you get the hang of it, the game becomes really fun fighting all these monsters. It's really fun, love the gameplay, but we're going to move on to something else. Oh boy, you would have thought I was going to transition to some different gameplay. I'm not doing that. It didn't feel like it. I wanted you to see this boss. He's fucking cool at the end. Leave me alone. But you better buckle up for this part on multiplayer because this shit is crazy town banana pants. I'm talking this shit is awum. No awesome. Awum. But essentially, the way that multiplayer works in Dark Souls is you basically get an item that is just like a piece of chalk is the best way to explain it. And you write some shit on the ground that's called a sign. And that sign will appear in other players' worlds. And if they touch your sign, then you will spawn in that world as a phantom, and you could help kill that boss. But the only thing about the co-op or multiplayer or whatever is that when you kill a boss as a phantom, so if you're in someone else's world and you kill their boss in their world, and you go back to your world, you get like half the souls, I think, but the boss isn't killed for you, so basically you would have to summon your own phantom or just do it yourself. And what kind of sucks about that is that if you want to play through the game with your friend, you have to kill the boss twice in every area, which, I mean, it has its pros and cons. Like, you have a bunch of souls, now you and your friend are going to be buffed up for the next boss. But, like, also you have to kill the boss twice, and maybe you kill it for him and everything's fine, and then you go to your world and he's bodying you every 5 seconds. It's happened to me before. It sucks pretty hard, but, you know, it's alright, I guess. This is where shit gets fucking crazy. There's another form of multiplayer in Dark Souls called invading, and invading really isn't up to your choice. You could be walking around in a world, and someone will essentially use an item in their world that allows them to invade, quote-unquote, another player's world. And what invading is you become a phantom, but a red phantom, or I think it's pink in this game, but you become a phantom and you go in there and you basically kill the master of the world and you steal this motherfucker's money, basically. You go and you mug someone. That's the best way to explain it. So you'll just be hanging out about to fight the boss, and next thing you know, you're getting slaughtered by some dude who wants some souls to feed his family. But that's really it for the multiplayer in the game. There's really not much to say besides that. But those two things are really game impacting. Like, invading could really just fuck your day up, but summoning spirits could also help you a lot. Now, of course, as every part of a good review, even though this is probably a really bad review, I gotta give my final grade of this game. And here it comes. Drum roll, please. 8.5. And the main reason I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 is because, like I said, I think the gameplay is really fun. If you just sit there and learn how to play the game and take your time, you could really have a lot of fun with it. Also, I think the leveling up in this game is really cool because all the skills just allow you to go down so many different paths to become a different character in each and every single game you play. Like, every character could be different, have a different build, and have a different play style. I also really like the multiplayer in this game because playing online and playing offline are two totally different worlds, and I just think it's so cool because if you're playing online, you could always be helped or hindered by those who are playing around you, and if you're playing offline, you're just by yourself and you're just solo ride until you die. Like, I just love it. But the one downside to the game, of course, like I said before, is the story. The story is just so scattered and hidden throughout the game, and it's hard to find while you're actually just trying to play the game. And I really think this game could have potential for a awesome story that would be so cool. Not saying that it doesn't have one, because I'm sure it does have one, but it's just like, if you're not going to throw it out there, why make it so cool? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But that's it for the review, guys. I hope you guys liked it. Leave a like if you thought it was a good review. Personally, I hate this fucking review, and I really want to fucking kill myself. But I mean, if you enjoyed it, whatever. I mean, like, if that's you, then I mean, I'm just sitting here stuttering my mouth off every 5 fucking seconds. I'm sure you notice it's pretty irritating, isn't it? Yeah, I fucking hate it too. Don't worry about it. Anyway, leave a like if you liked it. Fuck you.